Chapter 7 focuses on human resources management, otherwise known as staffing. And as the quotes illustrate on this first slide and the very last slide, the key to staffing is essentially people. You need to have really good people in your organization, or you need to develop really good employees in order for organizations to be successful. The 4 parts of human resources management that will be discussed in this video are human resources planning, attracting employees, developing employees, and retaining employees. In human resource planning, one needs to keep the laws in mind. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 and Title VII, which is under the Civil Rights Act, applies to organizations with 15 employees and prohibits discrimination in employment based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. In addition, the American Disabilities Act prohibits discrimination against people with disabilities in jobs as well as access to public accommodations, aka sports arenas. There is other legislation like the Age Discrimination in Employment Act, which attempts to prevent discrimination against people over 40 years of age, and the Equal Pay Act, which mandates that men and women receive equal pay for equal work on jobs that require equal skill, effort, or responsibilities. Organizations should keep these laws in mind when hiring as well as after people are hired. Furthermore, there are 2 rules or guidelines to help organizations avoid discrimination in their pre-employment inquiries. First, every question asked should be job-related. And when developing those questions, make sure you have a purpose for using the information. So you only want to ask information that you plan to use in the selection process. So make sure you have a purpose with your questions. Second, any question that you ask should be asked of all candidates so that you're consistent. And you can see page 197 in the book for a pretty extensive list of legal versus illegal inquiries. As you continue the human resources planning process, a job analysis is important. This determines what the job should entail, including a job description and the qualifications needed to staff the position, and a job evaluation determines how to pay employees for their work. Once that information is sorted out, organizations need to start the hiring process through the next step, which is attracting employees. The 2 parts to attracting employees are recruiting and selecting. Recruiting is about persuading qualified candidates to apply for job openings. Candidates can be internal, meaning people who work within the organization already, or through referrals, which are telling friends and acquaintances to apply for the job, versus external candidates, who can be generated from ads, walk-ins, through temporary agencies or headhunters. While selecting is about choosing the most qualified applicant for a job, and normally the selection process starts with some sort of application form potential employees fill out. It may lead to a screening interview, maybe there's a test involved, a reference check, and then an interview. Part 3 in the human resources management process is developing employees. There are a number of different ways in which to develop employees. The chapter outlines like 2 pages worth. Normally, organizations start with orientation. Orientation introduces new employees to the organization, its culture, and their actual job. Training and development help employees acquire new skills that they'll use to perform on present and future jobs. Job instructional training includes preparation of the trainee, presentation of the task, which is basically modeling what you want them to do. Then the trainee actually performs the task that you've just modeled. And then finally following up to make sure that they know what they're doing, correcting them if they perform the task wrong, and eventually giving them autonomy after you feel they're ready. The short video provided on the page provides insights into how Eastern Mountain Sports trains their employees. This includes sessions where they take employees out to a site, they learn about the products they sell, they speak to the manufacturers of the products, and then they practice activities in which you'd use the products like rock climbing. It's actually a pretty interesting culture they have there. The performance appraisal process is part of developing employees. This includes the following steps. Step 1, analyzing the job. This includes determining the job description and job specification. So this is to make clear that everybody knows what the employee should be doing on their job. Step 2, developing standards and measurement methods, and those are going to be discussed after these steps. Step 3, carrying out informal performance appraisals through coaching and discipline. This means that managers need to give employees informal feedback throughout the course of the year and making sure that they're correcting them or giving them praise if they're doing things well, so that when they get to the end of the year, there aren't too many surprises in that formal performance appraisal. Step 4, prepare for and conduct the formal performance appraisal. So it's important to be prepared for this performance appraisal. So managers need to go in to it, do a little bit of research, have their key points sorted out for the employee to make it look like they know what they're talking about, essentially. There are several different methods in order to measure performance of the employee. The critical incident file is a record of an employee's both positive and negative performance. Because the formal review period is often a long time, like 6 months to a year, managers may find it difficult to remember an employee's performance from appraisal to appraisal. So basically, the critical incident file provides a record of performance by date and a paper trail in case legal issues arise. These critical incident files are appropriate for developmental decisions. In comparison, the rating scale is a form on which the manager simply checks off the employee's level of performance. Some of these possible areas evaluated include the quantity of work, quality of work, dependability, judgment, attitude, cooperativeness, and initiative. These scales indicate strengths and areas where improvement is needed, and they can be used to develop objectives and plans for improved performance, and they can also be used as basis for pay raises, promotions, and other administrative decisions. In addition, behaviorally anchored rating scales consist of a form with descriptive statements that managers select from to measure employee performance. Rather than just a rating of excellent, good, average, poor, and so on, the form includes a statement that describes the employee's performance. For example, an extremely poor rating of 1 would be anchored to a statement like, quote, I can expect the employee to wander around and take a lot of breaks, unquote, compared to a good rating of 6 that would state, quote, I can expect the employee to initiate creative ideas, unquote. In management by objectives, managers and their employees jointly set objectives for the employees, periodically evaluate their performance, and reward the employees based on the results. MBO is more commonly used with professional employees who do not have a routine job. The final two methods to measure employee performance are narrative and ranking. With the narrative method, the manager writes a description of the employee's performance. How this is done can vary. Managers may be allowed to write whatever they like, or they may be required to write answers to specific questions about the employee's performance. The free-form narrative often becomes subjective, so answering a series of questions may make the method more objective and uniform. Ranking involves comparing employees to each other rather than comparing them to a standard measurement, like that rating scale. Ranking methods are appropriate for when administrative decisions, such as promotion and merit pay raises that reward for performance. They are more accurate when the ranking is based on a standard measure, such as rating scales or bars. The final component of human resources management is employee retention. Retaining good employees is important to organizational success. In comparison, constant employee turnover and continual hiring is a draining, time-consuming, and costly process. In addition, it also probably drives down morale of the employees that end up staying. You can compensate employees through wages, salaries, or incentives and benefits, and these are often key components of retention, as is ensuring the health and safety of employees in the workplace. So you got to make sure you pay your employees what they're worth in the marketplace and keep them safe, both emotionally and physically, within the working environment. In sum, there are 4 components of human resources management: planning the process, which includes following those legal guidelines and determining the job specifics. 2nd, attracting candidates through either internal or external avenues. 3rd, developing those employees through orientation, trainings, and feedback. And finally, ideally retaining them if they're performing well.